If you want a cool scarf like this, keep watching. Okay, hello everyone. We're here from Kandersteg International Scout Center in the Swiss Alps. I'm Emily from the UK/France.
And I am Miklas from Denmark.
And today we want to teach you how to tie-dye your own necker or scarf. This is really cool. I've done it myself, I really enjoy it, and it's a great way to reuse materials. So, step 1, you need a scarf. For example, this is the perfect scarf. It's a light color, white is the best. If you choose a dark color, the dye isn't going to work very well. You also need something that's got a lot of cotton or natural material in it. If you use synthetic material, it won't absorb the dye very well.
And this is even a reused bedsheet?
Yeah, it's a reused bedsheet. Someone broke it, now we're reusing it. So it's better to reuse fabric or use a scarf you already own. Now, the end product will look something like this. Ooh. So depending on what colors you use, what material you use, it will come out different, but we'll talk you through all of that. So, if you want a cool scarf like this, keep watching. So what we've already done is we've set down a lot of cardboard on our table.
Recycled cardboard.
Recycled cardboard, because we don't want to dye the table. And we also don't want to dye the floor, so I put an old towel down on the floor in case we make a mess.
So we're gonna take off our old scarf, because this is not the scarf we want to dye.
No.
And we're gonna wear something nice and fashionable,
You
like
look
this
great.
pink apron.
And I'm gonna put on a very dirty jumper, but I don't mind getting dye on. And if you've got long hair, like me, you're gonna want to tie it up, unless you want to dye your hair, which I don't recommend. Okay, I think we're ready. Oh,
There's one.
gloves.
Yeah, gloves.
Because another thing we don't want to dye is our hands. We reuse these plastic ones every time we dye. Before we start putting dye on our scarf, we want to prepare the scarf. So, if you know tie-dyeing, you know that you can make different patterns in the fabric. So you can scrunch the fabric up, you can tie it in different ways with string, and then that will change the pattern that the dye goes in. What kind of pattern do you want?
Some kind of spiraling pattern.
Spiraling pattern. I've heard of that one as well. I think we can do that.
Okay.
There are loads of different patterns that you can make, but we're going to spiral it. So you're going to pinch the middle of the fabric, and you're going to use your other hand to try and keep the fabric flat, and then you're just going to spin it around. And then hopefully your colors will come out in a cool pattern, because everywhere that there's a crease in the fabric, it creates resistance against the dye, and the dye struggles to fill that space. So you'll have all these lines coming out from the center of your scarf. There we go.
That sounds cool.
It does sound cool. Okay, you've got yours in a nice bundle.
Got it in a nice one.
So it's got to keep its shape, right? So we have string, and we're going to use the string to keep it in its shape. You can help each other out with this. So I'm just going around this a few times with this string. And if you could hold that, then we can tie it off in a nice little bow. Now you're going to want to do a few rounds of string on this, a few different times from different angles, because you really want to make sure it doesn't come unfolded. Because if it comes unfolded, then your pattern isn't going to stay very well.
Of course.
This way. You can also use elastic bands for this. It doesn't necessarily have to be string. That's good. Then after this, you're going to get your dye ready. Now for dye, you can use any kind of fabric dye. Most of them work for tie-dyeing. But if you want to know for sure, then you can do a bit of research on Google, and you can go to your local arts and craft shop, and they'll be able to point you to the specific dye you should use for this. So we have dye here in a lot of different colors. What we've done is we've taken normal fabric dye, we've mixed it with water. Some people use hot water with their dye because it works better. And the benefits of mixing it with water is you get to decide how strong you want your color to be. So the more water you mix in with your dye, the more pastel colored. So you saw my scarf at the start is quite pastel colored, quite weak colored. That's because I used a lot of water in my scarf. So you can decide how vibrant you want your scarf to be based on that. When you use a lot of different colors, they tend to mix together when they touch. So think about your color wheel, think about which colors mix well together, and then just have fun with it. The benefit of this is you can experiment a lot of times. So we have with us today pink, orange, purple, turquoise, and dark blue. What colors are you gonna go for?
I think I quite like the pink.
You like the pink? You are a pinky. It makes sense. I like turquoise. So I'm just gonna splash the dye on.
Gonna splash some as well.
And I'm gonna do it on one side of it because I want a mixture of the different colors.
My pink strap. That's a lot of pink.
That's a lot of pink.
Yeah, well, I really do like pink.
You really like pink.
I love
because
pink. Yeah.
More than you ever knew. I've got some turquoise. Now I'm gonna do dark blue. We're just gonna go around it with the different colors.
Ooh, that's a lot of pink.
That's even more pink.
I think I also quite
Some
like
might even say too much pink, but not me.
No, I don't think you can get too much pink actually.
So there are different techniques when it comes to actually applying your dye. If you're like me, I just tend to pour it on. It's an artistic process. Some people take their dye, their fabric, and dunk it in the dye and pull it out.
Yeah.
And then while it's drying, if they hang it up, it can create the gradient. So I'm going to stick to pouring.
Yeah, I think that sounds
paint
great
on
as well.
it. Yeah.
You have the turquoise as well.
I do have the turquoise. Here you go.
That's cool.
This is very therapeutic.
I'm gonna try to make green.
You're going to make it green.
I'm gonna try to. Oh, look at that, it's green now.
Oh, you've made green.
Yeah, I've made it green.
Turquoise and orange makes green.
Turquoise and orange makes green.
I'm going with orange. I've decided I'm using all the colors now.
I think this looks pretty good.
That pink does look good.
That
I'm gonna
pink
use
really does
something.
look. I think I'm actually gonna use some more pink actually.
Okay.
Just put a bit of green.
Look how great this is looking already.
Okay.
Wow. No.
Need colors everywhere.
If you leave gaps, then that will be a white space.
Uh,
Okay. Oh my goodness, this looks great. More orange, I think.
Yes.
I think this is what I'd call a masterpiece. Beautiful.
All right.
So as you can see, we've made a mess on the table. This is why you're gonna want to use something to protect your table with. So we've got our nice little bundle and it's freshly dyed now.
It's
And
wet.
It's wet because it's covered in dye. So the next step is you're gonna wanna seal
your scarf.
Seal your scarf. So grab your scarf and put it in a Ziploc freezer bag. Or you can use plastic wrap and just zip it up.
Make sure to wrap it tightly around if you use plastic wrap.
Exactly. Now you need to do this process because this is the only way the dye will really stay in the fabric. To make it really stay, you need to put this in a warm place. And I would recommend leaving it for at least 6 hours. If you leave it longer, you'll get a brighter scarf.
Ooh.
So if you want brighter colors, you should leave your scarf in for as long as you want. So I would say up to 24 hours, you can leave your scarf in this bag in a warm place. That can be in the sunlight, it can be on a radiator, but the warmer the better generally, and the longer the better.
In an oven?
In an oven, maybe
Is
not.
that too
I
much?
think that's a little bit too much, maybe. Just a bit too much warmth. Let's say 24 hours have gone, and you've been very patient, and you've done a great job of waiting. Now it is time. So you're gonna take your scarf out of the bag, and you're gonna rinse it under cold water. Not yet, Miklos. You have a few more hours.
No.
You're gonna rinse it under cold water. You'll probably want to put gloves on again because your hands might turn new colors. And once you've rinsed it for a couple of minutes, take the strings off. You can use scissors to cut them off, or if you've got elastic, you can just take it off. And then you're gonna want to rinse it for a while under the hot water until the water runs clear and no more dye is coming off the scarf. And then you'll be left with a lovely tie-dyed scarf. I'm going to unroll this so you can kind of see what it might look like. Now, I didn't make a pattern with this.
That is beautiful.
So mine's more of a gradient than some of the other scarves you might have. But as you can see, sometimes the colors bleed together, sometimes marks appear, and that's normal. So you'll have a wet scarf and you'll need to dry it, but after that it's yours to use. I would recommend not washing it in the washing machine with other clothes, just in case more dye comes off it. But other than that, it's your scarf, and everyone's going to be so jealous. And they're going to ask, where did you get this scarf?
And then you can tell them, I made it myself.
And then I can't think of anything cooler than that. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining our arts and craft. It's a messy experience, but if you're prepared, you'll do an excellent job. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.